Hello aspirants, I hope that you have done really well in the Civil Services Preliminary Examination 2021. Again, UPSC created a very balanced paper by paying adequate attention to all the subjects that are mentioned in the Civil Services Preliminary Examination syllabus. If you ask me that how was this paper on a level of difficulty, I would rate it as moderate to slightly difficult, but this was not such a paper which could not be handled. If you have prepared well the current affairs sections and you have prepared well the conventional areas, then you might not have faced much difficulty in attempting most of the questions. Yes, it is true that some of the questions were tricky, but they were few in number. Most of the questions were manageable. If we take a look at the subject-wise breakup of questions, we will understand that a lot of emphasis was paid on some conventional sections like history, polity, environment, etc. So in order to appreciate in a better manner how the questions were divided subject-wise, take a look at this. So on a subject-wise division basis, history contained nearly 17 questions, and the level of difficulty was moderate to difficult. Some of the questions were very straightforward and they could be handled very easily, but some of the questions were very difficult in history section too. That's why you can say that history questions were moderate to difficult, and 17 is a good number from one subject area. And if you club that with art and culture, where the questions were moderate to difficult, one question was moderate, and the rest of two questions in art and culture section was little bit difficult. So if you club history with art and culture, you will find that nearly 20 questions come from history, art, and culture. Polity, a major pillar of the Civil Services Preliminary Examination, again carved its space in the preliminary examination question paper. There were 17 questions from the polity section, and most of these questions, they stemmed from the conventional areas of Indian polity. Some of them had some historical connotations also, but most of the questions could be handled by your knowledge of Indian polity and constitution. There were 17 questions from Indian polity. So you can understand that those students who have prepared Indian polity and the Indian history sections well, they might have fared really well in this examination this year, because these two subjects had the lion's share of questions in the question paper. Geography, the number of questions were 10, and most of the questions were moderate. There were some map marking questions also in geography, and that's why I always emphasize this, friends, that you must prepare the map marking sections very diligently. And here is again a visible proof that why map marking is so important for the examination. In the polity section, the questions were easy to moderate. मतलब ऐसे भी question आया है कि right to privacy falls under which article? So it's very easy question, right? And some of the questions were moderate. There were no very difficult question in the polity section. When it comes to ecology and environment, again, you will see that 17 questions have come from this section. And most of the questions were moderate, but some of them were difficult. In the environment and ecology section, some of the questions were mixed with areas from science and tech. So you can draw a thin line between ecology and environment on one hand and science and technology on the other hand. So if ecology and environment is well prepared along with science and technology, then you can handle these questions very easily. Science and technology, most of the questions were difficult, though there were a few exceptions, one or two, but most of the questions were challenging in science and technology section. The economy section was a full toss. You can understand that those who have committed mistakes in the economy section might be cursing their fate today. Why? Because the economy section was perhaps the most easiest section in today's question paper. The questions were mostly easy. Some of them were slightly moderate in difficulty. Current affairs again had 10 questions, and most of them were moderate in nature. If you have prepared well the current affairs section, then you would definitely not face much of a difficulty in handling the questions from the current affairs section. So overall, if you see that conventional areas have dominated in the civil services preliminary examination, और जो लोग ऐसा सोचते थे कि सिर्फ करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ के ही उनका सिविल सर्विसेज प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन क्लियर हो जाएगा, वो मिथ जो है यूपीएससी ने पूरी तरीके से बस्ट कर दिया है. You must have good hold over the conventional area. So what is the learning that we can draw from today's paper? First learning is focus a lot on your basic books like NCERTs, because most of the questions have stemmed directly from the NCERTs and standard books. And secondly is the practice of preliminary type questions. It means MCQs, because that will make you more exam ready. So if you just single out history, polity, ecology and environment and economy, you can see that nearly more than 50% of the paper is covered very convincingly. So those people who have prepared the conventional areas very well, and those who have not got enough time to revise the current content, yet they have covered the current content throughout the year, they might not have faced much difficulty in handling this paper. So how was this paper on an overall difficulty level? I would mark it as moderate and slightly difficult in areas. So those who have prepared well, it is expected that they might have done really well in today's examination, because this was a balanced paper. जिन्होंने comprehensive coverage किया था सारे subjects का, उनको advantage होगा, but जिनका preparation थोड़ा lopsided था, जिन्होंने छोड़ दिया था कुछ areas, उनको थोड़ा difficulty face हुआ होगा, especially with respect to science and tech. अगर आपने वो छोड़ा होगा वो section, because that section was today slightly difficult. That is what is my estimation. Now, one major question that must be going through your minds is, what is the cutoff? Well, it is too early to say what will be the cutoff, because for understanding the cutoff, we must consider various factors, like how many people took the examination this year, there are how many vacancies this year, and what was the overall difficulty level of the paper. So the time now is too short to determine something with respect to cutoff. edenias has published its own answer keys, so you can go onto the website and you can match that answer key with the answers that you have marked in your answer sheet. It means your OMR sheet, and then you can calculate your marks. But do not get into the tussle of cutoff, because those people will do extremely well in the mains examination who will not squander their time in wasteful discussions like what is the cutoff. क्योंकि अगर कोई भी आपको cutoff के बारे में कुछ भी बोल रहा होगा, it is too early to say, and the sample size is very limited, and you cannot make a foolproof analysis with respect to cutoff within such a short period of time. Maybe in 2 to 3 days time, as more people share their experiences, we can get a crude idea about cutoff. But अभी तो बहुत early है cutoff के बारे में बोलना, क्योंकि exam हुए 24 घंटे भी नहीं हुए हैं. And anybody who is telling you that this will be the cutoff or that will be the cutoff, do not get bogged down by such discussions and do not indulge into such kind of futile discussions. Rather, you should take rest. You have worked really hard. You have given your 100%. You must analyze the paper. Then you should try to see that which are the areas where you have lagged, and if unfortunately you have not performed well, then try to work on those areas for the next time, because the sun will shine definitely one day if you keep on working. और अगर आपने अच्छा किया है, then definitely without any delay you should start for the mains. Even if you have not done very well in the preliminary examination, I would suggest you should pick the mains syllabus and you should start preparing for mains, because early bird catches the worm. If you are late in this preparation, or suppose आपका कट ऑफ क्लियर हो जाता है और आपको लिखने का मौका मिलता है मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, तब आपको बहुत पछतावा होगा, because you will be not well prepared for the mains examination. So friends, overall I think that this paper was very nice, this paper was a good opportunity to score big. Those who have prepared really well, or those who have burned their midnight oil throughout the year, those who have toiled really hard, जो पूरी तरीके से प्रिपेयर थे, उनको ज्यादा मुश्किल नहीं हुई होगी इस पेपर में. और अगर आप देखोगे कि जो पेपर की डिफिकल्टी है वो मोर और लेस मॉडरेट है, और कुछ क्वेश्चंस जो है स्लाइटली डिफिकल्ट है. पेपर ज्यादा ट्रिकी था, इट वाज नॉट टफ. Do you understand that? So notwithstanding what is your marks, go full throttle for the mains preparation, because now the real battle begins. Preliminary examination is just a screening test where the best is separated from the rest. But those who will finally get into the final list, their actual battle begins now with the mains written examination. So without losing any time, pick subjects like ethics, your optional subjects, and your essay, because these are the areas that will put you in good stead and will give you a unsurmountable lead over your competitors in the mains examination. So I hope that you have done really well in the examination, and irrespective of your performance, this is what is my message to all of you, that you should take good adequate rest for say 24-48 hours, and after that do pick your books and make a strategy for the civil services mains written examination, because the actual game begins now.